All right, folks, how you doing? Papa Joe here. I got asked a question this morning by one of my longtime subscribers, and he asked my opinion about our kids going into military. It would be my grandkids now. My kids done served, but I gave it quite a bit of thought today. I didn't want to just give a snappy answer. You know what I mean? As an old jarhead and an old hillbilly, and as a patriot to our fine country, I still believe all of our young men should go to military. Women too if they want to. But I think our men should. I don't really want to see it forced like it is in a lot of foreign countries, where it's mandatory that you serve 2 or 4 years. I don't want to see that. But I encourage any of the young men and women to go into the military. It has character building skills to it. It has work ethics to it. It teaches you how to work as a team. It teaches you quite a bit. Gives you a little bit of self-pride. Well, quite a bit if you're an old jarhead. You know, once a jarhead, always a jarhead. And we carry that pride on over for us. In this day and age, and mention it came up about Obama and him taking money away from the military. Well, he took it away from the military, but he didn't lower wages or nothing like that. What he did is he kept cutting the budget to the military spending. So, which is why we had our services, our military depleted. I mean, he was rough on the military, but he didn't literally take away from he didn't give pay rate cuts. And Biden won't be able to either. Will Biden cut back on the military and the spending on it? Yeah, I believe he will. I believe he will. Will that make it down the ranks all the way to our enlisted? More than likely, it's going to affect them. Now, I understand your son's going in as an infantry. Boy, I can't even say it. It's a grunt, what we call it in the Marine Corps, a grunt. Not the best choice of how to go in, especially in this day and age. If he could have held out and thought about it a little bit better and got him a profession in there. A lot of these kids going into the military, they can hold out, and with even a year's college, you know, with a high school diploma and a year's college, even 2 years college, it goes a long way into what they can do in the military. So that is what I recommend. Most of it, if any of you young ones are watching this, complete your high school and go through a year or two of college, and you'll see you can write yourself a better ticket. Now, if he's already enlisted, they have ways in there of you being able to change your MOS. That's jarhead language for their job. So if he doesn't want to be a infantryman marching all over the country and learning how to attack, then I'd suggest after he settles in a little bit, start applying to some college. There's plenty of online college nowadays. So apply to a little bit of the online college. With his military experience back when I was in and when my son was in, they had classes. Back in my day, they had GED classes and college classes. In this day and age, I don't know if they're doing the GED. I think they pretty much require you to have your diploma. But if you've already signed on the line, start figuring out how you can change your job description. and find out about the education that is offered within. Now our, now I can't think what it's called. Our military education that we get after we get out. I can't think the name of it. Nowadays you're liable to lose that. Back in my day, you couldn't lose it. Once you got out, you had 2 years or whatever that you could take college, educate yourself, retrain yourself, whatever you want to call it. Boy, those shirts stiff and it looks terrible. But watch it. Don't lose it. GI Bill. What I think it's called. I knew I'd come up with it sooner or later. But in the meantime, he's not going to deal with a whole lot different in there than he would on the streets on all this political nonsense. He needs to be cautious, just like he would in any workplace out here, about what he says out loud. Remember, they got all these no tell, don't ask, and all this, and all the little political wars that are going on out here, they will bleed into the military. So he has to be on top of his game, not to do an oops and start getting written up. If he starts getting cases filed against him for some kind of discrimination or race baiting or race hater or any of that, that will hurt him on trying to advance. Now, they don't beat you up, knock you around like they did back in the day in boot camp and all that. I'm sure they still get a little rough on them. He has to be able to put up with that. And it's still going to teach them how to work as a team. It's going to teach them to have a little bit of work ethics. It'll teach them to take a little bit of pride in what they're doing. So yeah, I can see them going into the military even in this day and age. Oh, come on already. Hogging at the neighbor over there. Now, I don't know, sound like he's going into the Army, which they have 2, 3, 4 year enlistments. I don't know which one he got. But it might be in his best interest to keep a clean nose, get some education while he's in there towards whatever field he really wants. He needs to make sure that there's a military equivalency to it, something that he can transfer over to in the military and get a little practice at, that he can apply out here. That's the biggest mistake a lot of youngins make, myself as well. There's so many jobs in the military that you can go to, and you can do a damn good job at it. You can be number one in your division or whatever. That don't mean that job's going to be out here. So he needs to stop and think about what kind of career field he wants to work towards. Does he like working on vehicles? You know, motor pool. You know, does he like driving? Motor pool. Does he like being policeman? MPs, I'm sorry. And those are transferable to the outside world. So make sure you pick something that you can use to your benefit outside of the military. There's a little story I can tell. A brother of mine, he went Navy and he was a radar technician. So he was on a boat and he watched the radars for incoming stuff. And he thought for sure that with this military background, that when he came out, he was going to go to work at an airport. So he spent like 5 or 6 years in there doing this stuff, got up a little bit in his rank, got out with his chest all thumped out. He's just going to go get him a job at an airport, making good money. The problem was, as back then, the equipment we used was hand-me-downs from the civilian world, and it wasn't quite as good as the rest of the world. So when he went telling them the radars he had worked on and whatnot, they laughed at him and said, man, you're all 10 years behind us. Thus, he didn't go to work at an airport. So whatever your son wishes to do with his life, he needs to be figuring out what will transfer out here. Don't get into and invest 2, 3, 4 years of your life into a career that doesn't exist outside the military. Unless he plans on being a lifer, which in the beginning he'll plan on being a lifer, then he'll get over it, then he'll be saying, damn, I'm glad I'm a 2-digit midget, waiting to walk. So hopefully you made something out of that. Long story short, yes, I still think the military is good for our youngins. I still think they should go in it. I don't think that Biden is going to make it so bad that the youngins get hurt. They might not get pay raises. I don't think he has the cojones to start a war. Now, I could be wrong, and sometimes it don't take cojones. Sometimes it takes being stupid, and he's got that by the bucket full. So I guess there is a chance there could be a war. And any time our children go into the military, regardless what the times are today, they're signing a contract. And if there's a war during that time, you have to worry about your babies. Even if they're not. They just had a bad truck wreck, a convoy, where a guy got dead, a young soldier. So there's always the gamble, the risk of losing your child. However, I had one went into the military, and I had one that went into cooking. The one cooking was doing real good for herself, but he wound up dying out here on the streets. So regardless, we have to always worry about our children. That's the parent's job. You signed on to it, so finish your job. I pray for him daily. Encourage him to call home and keep in touch with you. Encourage him to call and talk and make decisions with you, or at least ask your opinion, your advice from you on what he thinks about doing. But yeah, he'll be all right in the long run. He'll still get the main benefits that most of us old veterans say that the youngin should go to the military. Well, he'll get that. Learning to be a team member. That's such a biggie. And when he comes out here, he'll look at the world a whole differently. I guarantee you. He'll be shaking his head on the way some of the stuff's done in the civilian world. All right, well, I hope that helped you out there, DW. And I'll see about getting this up. I should have earlier, but I took a bad spell today and had to lay down. But y'all remember, good Lord loves you. So do I. Pray for our youngins. Pray for our military. You know, keep them in your prayers. All right, y'all have a good day now. Bye. Love you.